the Huddle with your host, Charles Barge Ritchie, here on the Mass Steel Podcast.
This thing belongs to Mr. Roney, belongs here, and let's see if we can bring this damn thing back here next year, along with the Super Bowl. Here we go.
The game is over. The Pittsburgh Steelers did it the hard way.
With the 10th pick in the 2019 NFL Draft, the Pittsburgh Steelers select Devin Bush, linebacker, Michigan.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to this edition here of the Mass Steel Podcast with yours truly, Charles the Project Ritchie. As we are getting going live right now, as we push a little closer. So, as everyone has found out this morning, it was initially reported by NFL Network, Tom Pelissero, that the players' vote for the union, the NFLPA, the vote for the deal, if they're going to set the deadline for it, was originally supposed to be by the end of Thursday, March 12th, 11:59 p.m. Eastern time. So, which means March 13th, they wouldn't vote no more. But at about 2 p.m. Eastern time, it was reported by NFL and ESPN, Am Schefter. You can follow on social media at Am Schefter. He tweeted an update that the NFLPA has decided instead for this to delay to extend the vote until by the end of Saturday, this coming Saturday, March 14th, 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So for those of you just joining in right now, just curious about what's happening with the NFLCBA, as everyone is aware, there has been no agreement to ratify this CBA. It seems like it's almost kind of 50-50 from what it sounds like when you hear a lot of the players' sides from it. And it almost seems like a lot more of the younger players are probably more favor this as opposed to the veteran players here. And I think definitely one of the things, too, I think Marquise Pouncey pointed out, too, I think the part that really sticks out is part of like their social security being tampered with. And I think it's definitely a lot of sticky situations here. And when we break it all down, we're going to get into it in just a second here, but everyone is familiar with NFL Executive Director DeMaurice Smith, who's been the executive director since 2009. In my opinion, I think he's did a mediocre job since being the executive director. I mean, when you recap in time over what's happened under his watch, I mean, don't get me wrong. I think the concussion thing, that was something that was bound to go down. I mean, for the NFL to look into. I mean, prior to that, because remember, they had that helmet-to-helmet rule enforced in 2010 after finding out about the history of the concussions that affected a lot of former and current players in the league, too. And I remember around that time, too, I mean, one of the people that was definitely getting heavily targeted that season, who's now retired, James Harrison, number 92 for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And a lot of people were definitely antsy and, like, interested how this was going to be affecting the game, how many more calls we're going to be seeing throughout the game, which it ended up doing. But at the same time, too, look at what happened. I mean, they were in the final year of their CBA right there at that point in time. And they had to decertify themselves, I think, back in March of 2011. So the players, I mean, you pretty much went through most of the offseason throughout the winter, spring, and somewhat of the summer, too, for like the first 2 months practically almost, where you missed a Hall of Fame game, and it cost them one exhibition game. And that was definitely an eye-opener right there for the owners as well when you look at all of it. And a lot of people, the Steelers, were like one of the opposing teams, too, who were against the CBA. And a lot of players do, looking back at it, definitely feel like they were rushed into things here. And that's just really been a pretty darn shame when you look at it. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, a lot of these guys right here, I mean, one of the most noble things that has happened under this CBA, under Commissioner Roger Goodell and the owners and executives, I mean, look at how much, I mean, discipline power that Roger Goodell has in power from this. I mean, then you look at the last few years when we look more so last 5 years, more particularly guaranteed contracts here. I mean, in my opinion, I'm not sure if I could honestly say that DeMaurice Smith is really doing his job trying to go bat for these guaranteed contracts for these players. I thought that was supposed to be a thing right there where they were supposed to be at least getting that settled. That's still a little bit of unknown. But I was reading up, too, on here, I mean, earlier in the week, and one of the things that we looked at with the FLCBA, and this was like last week, and I was doing like a little bit of reading on this, and with the current proposed CBA right here, when we looked at it, I mean, one of the things, too, they said it's really hard. It's not really possible right now under the current CBA. What they would have to do somewhere along the lines is try and cater to like individual contracts right there. I mean, when you looked at it. And when you really think about it right there, I mean, you'd have to almost kind of like do it on an individual basis at some point. And that's kind of like what you'd have to do. Because it's definitely remarkably harder, no doubt. But like I said, I mean, supposed to be hearing about these players getting an extra $5 billion in revenue when we look at things. And like I said, let's find out how that works out. But I'm not really too sure like what's going to happen here. I just feel like DeMaurice Smith has just dropped the ball here big time ever since being the executive director. Let's be honest here. I mean, he has not been a guy who has been consistently on this, I mean, throughout this past decade. I think he's definitely let a lot of players down, I mean, in a multitude of ways. And I'm just not so sure if he can be trustworthy. I mean, you even heard a guy like Russell Okung earlier today, because when we look at the members of the board, the board player representatives, as you know right now, who's still with you, it doesn't look like he's going to remain a Steeler. He's going to probably get released. But for the Steelers, you got Ramon Foster. The runner-up for him would be Cam Hayward, then Vince Williams. But when we look at the executive committee right now as it stands, you got three guys right now who are no longer playing in the league. And those spots, you could probably have like three new members coming up here in this. Actually, like two or three, but one of them right now who we got Eric Winston, who's currently the president of the group. He played definitely for the Houston Texans, the Kansas City Chiefs, Arizona Cardinals, and Cincinnati Bengals. Then you also got another on here too, Mark Herzlich, who's the treasurer of the New York Giants. This guy right here, obviously Super Bowl champion right there back in 2011, stopping Tom Brady and the Patriots right there. I mean, he's one of the guys on here. So you might expect some change in a little bit in near time. But I just question right now, I mean, like how much of a stable the unit is. Listen, I want to see these guys get their money. I want to see them get well protected, have a better pension. But again, at the end of the day, when we're looking at the sport of football and how people view it as a violent sport after all these years, a lot of people just get a little frustrated with it. And for the last decade, let's be honest, there's been a lot more people being scared for their life, even their own kids wanting to play the game of football. And I feel like right now, I mean, due to the nature of sport, which is always a given, but when you look at a guy like DeMaurice Smith, who's trying to have the players back in some ways, I mean, it's not just affecting current players, but you're also talking about retired players and Hall of Fame players getting their pension. But then you also look at the fact, too, like people who are analysts for this game. So, I mean, it's a lot of people aside from the executives and the owners right there and current and former players. I mean, it affects pretty much everybody, I mean, when you piece it all together. I just feel right now what we have to do is just look and see. Because I'll be honest with you, if I'm a player right now, I'm not sure if I want DeMaurice Smith representing anymore on the player side. I think he has just definitely failed miserably in this last decade. He really has. I don't think he's I don't know how much he's really educated these guys enough. I mean, where you can honestly say that these guys were right prepared to give up what they had to do, and look what they got to show for it. I mean, you're still asking for guaranteed contracts. You're trying to safe the game, and I just don't feel like he's doing what he's supposed to do. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, it's just right now the biggest ploy that a lot of players are fearing, more so guys like a Richard Sherman in particular and others. I mean, how much they definitely vented about having a game being playing an extra game when the 60 games is already enough to rule on their
night. And Coach Sullivan after the game was looking for answers
right now.
He said that the team felt disconnected and they need to really form a collective play overall. And basically what they need to do is they're looking for.
So I apologize again, everybody, for the noise right there as we look at things. A little background got in the way here. But yeah. That's what we're looking at right now as it relates to this deal here. That's what we got to pay attention to, the bottom line. Again, if you guys want to get in and join the conversation, of the text and phone line to be reached is 312-209-2232. Again, that number is 312-209-2232. You can also follow me on Twitter at Prodigy Richie. You can also check me out at Steel CJR, at On Deck CSR. And then you can also follow me on Instagram, Prodigy Richie, Steel Nation, at On Deck CSR, my YouTube channel, Steel Podcast, and of course, look me up on Mixcloud for all the latest Steel podcast shows. And of course, my shows, excuse me. Sorry about that. I am so sorry about that. That one slipped out of my mouth. Please excuse me for that. All shows on ChicagolandSportsRadio.com, a.k.a. CSR. You can find the page. Click the like button. Once you find it, just do at ChicagolandSportsRadio.com. And then you can also check out the shows I do right there on deck. That's every Saturday from 1 to 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. I cover all pretty much Chicago and national trending sports topics throughout the week. So have no fear on that as we look at things. But anyway, hope everyone's got some questions. Let's go ahead and say a little welcome to a few viewers who are joining on here. Deborah Banks, always good regular one. Hello. I hope you're enjoying your Monday right there. And Becky, hey, what's up, Beck? Nice to have you two ladies on as usual. I will say this real quick before we go a little bit further. I hope everyone is staying safe and being healthy throughout this coronavirus scare that a lot of people are experiencing right now. And we look at, too, how it's affecting everybody, where it's like going to mass right now. I mean, like, this is the first time yesterday I found out during communion you couldn't shake hands right now. I mean, this is how, like, scary it's really gotten right now with a lot of people. And I definitely feel that. And it's definitely not, like, the intriguing of situations right now. But, I mean, even looking at, like, in sports, NHL and Major League Baseball, of course, NBA, I mean, they may consider, like, not having people fill the arenas. They may have a few games in the NBA where it's possible where there will be no attendance. You'll be seeing some arena-less games on TV. I mean, that's how bad this thing has gotten. I mean, it is really bad. Like I said, I hope and pray that everyone is finding a way to survive, find some closure throughout this. is definitely one of the scariest things, this coronavirus. I mean, how many people's lives it has claimed, but as well as like the sickness. So like I said, to all the families, loved ones, friends, just want to just give you guys a quick little shout out and prayer right now, and hope everyone is finding a way to be okay and be safe from all of this. But right now, I mean, let's pick back up, like I said. So again, just a reminder, in case anyone is tuning in, the CBA will be voted, and we'll see if it gets ratified by the Players Union. That'll be by the end of Saturday on March the 14th. So March 15th, they'll have no more opportunities to vote for it. This will be it. So it's by the end of the day, Saturday is their final chance. It was originally supposed to be by the end of this Thursday, March 12th at 11:59 p.m. Eastern, which NFL Network's Tom Pelissero reported. But then Adam Schefter of NFL on ESPN mentioned, that I found it out about 1 o'clock Eastern time, that he said that he got an email from the Players Union saying that they're going to extend it to this Saturday instead by the end of the weekend, pretty much. I mean, St. Patty's Day, pretty much weekend. So there you go. There you have it right there. I'd like to hear you guys' thoughts right now. What do you guys feel about the current proposals in the CBA? I mean, for right now, I mean, like I said, when we recapped on last week's show, we're talking about last week how it's going to be a 17-game season, but that I'm not sure how have the expanded playoffs, and the playoff scenarios would be interestingly different. For example, like I said, it would only be the top team in each conference game to buy, as opposed to 2 teams per conference. That could be a big problem right there, in my opinion, because when you look at a team like the Steelers who are trying to get back in the playoffs, I mean, if you have any Super Bowl aspirations, I think it's very vital you find a way to have that home field go for Pittsburgh. I'm not sure if you want to go all 4 rounds, especially when you got an aging quarterback and a guy like Ben Roethlisberger. Not so sure how much tread he's got left on those tires, especially at this age. But then again, like I said, I mean, you have a guy who's coming off elbow surgery right now, and the last time you were the number 1 seed in the entire conference was back in 2004 when they went 15-1, only followed runners short to the New England Patriots in the AFC Championship game. I mean, the Patriots were 14-2. They went on to win their 3rd Super Bowl in 4 years under the original run of Tom Brady and Bill Belichick, and he had some solid notable guys on there, like a Ty Bruschi and all those guys right there. I mean, Lawyer Malloy, who's on there a few years earlier. I don't think he was with them anymore. But, I mean, you had a veteran team that was, stacked on there and just really was just a well-oiled machine, like it or not, despite the tactics that we found out years later what they're involved with, as opposed to when it came to the Spygate. But at the end of the day, I mean, make no mistake about it. They're foreign in a lot of team side, especially at the Pittsburgh Steelers at that point when we really think about it. And that's how I tend to view things right there. But like I said, it just doesn't really happen often with this team. And for this playoff format to be possibly changed up the way we're talking about, I'm not sure if I'm going to be really too enthused right now. I mean, how their chances are going to be. I mean, it's very rare you see anyone like that have those opportunities. So we'll find out here. And also, too, on the Mass Steel podcast, as we get ready to continue to move along right now. So, like I said, we only got 2 executive committee executive members. Like I said, once again, those names who their seats should be valid since they have been out of the league for more than 2-3 seasons. Talking about Eric Winston, formerly of the Texans, Chiefs, Cardinals, and Bengals, who was the president, and then you got Mark Herzlich, who's the treasurer for the Giants, Super Bowl champion back in 2011, finished his playing career in 2016. So those are opportunities you got up for grabs right there. But I'm wondering how much a guy like Russell Okung right there will be a good president, because he was definitely very highly critical of the NFLPA staff of bad faith and CBA negotiations. Okung asserted that the union's leadership tried to silence him about the lack of transparency with the executive committee about the negotiations with NFL owners. And I definitely feel right there. I mean, that's definitely one thing the NFLPA has, which they just tend to like trip up with their own foot. They have, like I said, they're not really much of a stable unit. A lot of people may think they are. They're not. I mean, this unit struggles mightily as far as like having the players' backs and doing what's in their best interest. I just don't really feel all that much from them. I just feel like this is a group right there who definitely fumbled around and fell asleep at the wheel at times, more particularly with DeMaurice Smith. Don't get me wrong. I mean, we can't, and a lot of it too is the players too. I mean, how much are they really like, taking this seriously with the younger players and really having a heart-to-heart talk right now? I mean, I understand we're in the age right now where a lot of things are done electronically, but I just really just kind of wonder. I mean, it says a lot. Last thing, I mean, like I said, you don't want to mess with anyone's paycheck, but at the same time, too, I mean, you got no choice but to like find a way to figure this thing out and get this thing rolling. Because, like I said, I don't want to see football go the entire season locked out, yet alone a portion of the games missed. I mean, 2011, I remember like it was just yesterday when this last went down, and the only thing they missed was a Hall of Fame game. I'll be honest with you. When I finally heard they finally came to resolve things, I'm not going to lie to you. One of the first things I did, I went to Target. I was so pumped up. I got myself a football. I bought myself like a little football, started tossing it around at work and in and out of the building. This is when I was like working out my peak strength right there. And I was just so happy as could be as a fan. And I just remember seeing guys like Robert Kraft, Roger Goodell, and Jeff Saturday right there, putting along the words that we were able to bring the game back and we're able to come to an agreement. And I just felt like that was just a lot right there. I mean, of course, unfortunately, shortly what happened after that, one of the biggest stars of the game at that point in time, too, and which really kind of put a damper after they got the CBA negotiated, you didn't see Peyton Manning for a long while. And that's where because, his laser neck surgery really started getting real serious here as we looked at it. And I'm not going to lie, that definitely sucked not seeing him in the game for a year. I mean, he had to take a year off. I mean, that's how bad it was getting for him. And pretty much after that season, he was pretty much forced out of Indianapolis. I think then he went over to the Broncos right there, where he still had playoff runs. He had 2 more Super Bowl appearances. Obviously, the last one, his defense helped win around him, but he had one of the first times in a long time, too, you had to have right there, too, in there, your backup quarterback at that time. And like I said, it was definitely not a fun time for that team. Brock Osweiler right there. And he was the guy that was pulling a lot of spike in that offense for the time that he was out. And you saw what kind of Super Bowl defense that Broncos team had. But like I said, I was just really sad because you just saw it was a damper that once that CBA got negotiated. So around that time, like I said, it was Peyton Manning. I'm sure he was like debating all season or even before this previous season ended while getting his neck taken care of, neck surgery, laser neck surgery right there. And that was not a fun time, if you ask me. And it was just sad. I mean, it was just black eye, I think, right there for the NFL. Like I said, we don't have your star players on there. It definitely hurts the product some ways. But then again, you got to see an interesting season in some ways. And that was like one of the last times, too, speaking of which, ironically, Steelers had their last pair of shutouts. They had 2 in that year in 2011 against the Seahawks and against the Rams. And that's one thing that I'll always mention for me, even though we know the result. They didn't win the division. They had to get in there on this wild card. Yeah, the Ravens finally take over the AFC North under John Harbaugh, and you lose to Tim Tebow and the Broncos right there. And there you go. There you have you. Again, for those of you tuning into the Metal Steel podcast, we are going live right now. Again, the number to be reached is 312-209-2787. 2232 is the dial and text line. You can also follow me on Twitter on my social media outlets. You can follow me at Project Richie, at OnDeckCSR, at Metal Steel CJR, Instagram, Metal Steel Nation, Project Richie, OnDeckCSR, my YouTube channel, Metal Steel Podcast. And of course, you can check me out on Mixcloud for all the latest podcasts here of the Metal Steel Podcast and my shows that I host on ChicagolandSportsRadio.com, which is On Deck. That is every Saturday from 1 to 2 p.m. We even got the XFL being covered right now, believe it or not. And we'll be interested to see how much that holds water at this point, as they are 5 games in right now. I would like to see what have you guys thought, Steelers fans, so far of watching the XFL so far? Have you guys taken a few minutes to watch any of the games? Do you got a favorite team in there? I would like to hear from you. I would definitely want to hear what you feel right now watching this. I know it's a little bit too much football, but I would definitely like to hear your thoughts right now. What do you think about the game? Do you think it'll one up the AAF, where it'll last longer? I mean, of course, you got a guy with Vince McMahon who's got the funds, you got the money and the investment, got set to stick around for 2 years, but can it pull its weight right there and get enough traction? I mean, I talked to Bob Pompiani this past Saturday, called in on his show on 93.7 The Fan, and he told me one of the things that the only thing that's he likes about the XFL, he barely watched any of the games, but he just said he liked how people could interact as far as on replay reviews. And I think that's definitely a big thing right there in itself when you really look at it. I mean, replay reviews right there, just to gauge the actual live reaction of the fans right there. I mean, you want people to weigh in at this point. And I think that is definitely something very important there. Because I think when you look at it, I mean, just like anything else, like I always say, I mean, it's like having customers at work right there. I mean, it's, whenever stuff is being slowed down or not going right, people are going to take out a form and mark out a list of complaints of what went wrong and why stuff is not being catered to in certain fashion. Kind of like the case with the XFL right now. I mean, is it going to be something that we will see lasting more than 2 seasons? And like I said, I mean, I just wonder how much they're actually learning, because you actually have one guy, a vendor, who's selling some stuff. I think it was some beer in the stands, and he had coronavirus, if I'm not mistaken. He had to be removed, and it's just sad. But like I said, I hope everybody is doing well away from this sickness right now. It was a scary thing. Like I said, please be safe, and just spend it with your loved ones as much as possible. Just take the time, just lean over, just say I love you at this point. So now let's get into some more. Let's get into some Steeler news right now. As a matter of fact, Minkah Fitzpatrick, right, by the way, who's been here, I mean, who's going to be in his 3rd season, his 2nd season going in with the Steelers. Remember, he got drafted in 2018, of course, by the Miami Dolphins. I mean, obviously, when you looked at it, he got acquired by the Dolphins back in 2018. But then when you looked at how the way things were starting out this past season, a lot of people were very frustrated with the environment of being a Dolphin right there. There was a lot of guys wanting out, including a guy, Minkah Fitzpatrick here. I mean, he was definitely one of the people who was on the unhappy list. And like I said, it was definitely a position the Steelers needed to fill that Kevin Colbert and everybody decided to go all in on, including Mike Tomlin. But one of the things that was written here on this, as we look at it coming in here, he referenced how, when he played back in college here, Minkah Fitzpatrick, which, by the way, you can follow him on social media, on Twitter, at MeekFitz_21. As we looked at it, and he's definitely plans on keeping number 39, working with the teammates this offseason. This was written by Teresa Varley of the Steelers.com. She can be followed at Teresa_Varley, and he kind of compared it in a situation, like I said, when we looked at it here, and how he had when he wore number 29 at when he was traded to the Steelers. You compared it when he was at Alabama. When he was traded to the Steelers, number he wore at Alabama, number 29, wasn't available. Instead, he was given number 39. It did excite him. It's like what I did with 29 to Fitzpatrick. When I got to Alabama, kind of gave me number 29. I didn't want it. I thought it was an ugly number. Then I told myself, if I have a freshman All-American year, I will keep it. And I did do that, so I kept number 29 and it stuck with me into my first season in the NFL. I did the same thing with 39 when I got to Pittsburgh. I promised myself, if it treats me well, if I make the Pro Bowl or All-Pro or whatever it may be, I'm going to keep it. And boy, did he deserve it right there, as he definitely, I mean, this past season, I think he did definitely get All-Pro honors for the first time in his career. I mean, when you look at it and what he's been able to do is just remarkable. Instant impact on his defense right here. And what can you really say about this guy, like what he's contributed? I mean, definitely a big, huge reason. We already had guys there were guys that were already kicking their stride or gaining the stride, but you kind of felt something here from the ground up. And this is a team right here who had something to prove. They had to play a lot more with intensity. They had to turn the level intensity up. They want to be at a dominating defense, which I think they could definitely continue to be consistently. I just feel like right now, like I said, the only other questions we got right now is like the futures of like when we look at it. Bud Dupree right now, and of course we also definitely got on here Javon Hargrave. More than likely he's gonna be gone from the Steelers, but he got some stuff he definitely got to look at right now and see what's going on. Ari Burns is pretty much given he's no longer going to be here. But like I said, just a reminder, you got right now who Bud Dupree, if offered the tag, will be over $16 million. His market value, according to Spotrac, it is for 5 years at $16.6 million, $83.03 million over 5 years. And that's the thing you look at right there. And you got to think right now, I mean, damn. I mean, that's what we got to look at here. I got to welcome some other people right here. I got Marcus Bemi Valentine. It's way better than the first one. I don't have a favorite team. I like seeing Dallas getting beat up. Well, laugh out loud. And I wonder why. Why is that, Marcus? Is part of the reasons too. I mean, how many people are really paying attention to see what Landry Jones is doing right now? Be honest. I want to see if anybody has been keeping track. I'll raise my hand. I will definitely say Landry Jones right now. I've been a little curious. I mean, so far right now. I mean, throughout all this. I mean, Landry Jones, I mean, definitely who served his career pretty much as a backup, had a few games as a starter, which he did okay for. But, I mean, when you look at it, too, I mean, it's like, what do they really do? I mean, under him, I mean, I just feel like he just definitely got dealt a bad hand at time. And when you look at it, it's just, yeah, it was definitely interesting to say the least right here. But as we look at it with him, I mean, Landry Jones, who right now, who's pretty much been a journeyman in his NFL career and just being one of the first guys to be signed. He's had 108 completions for 1,310 passing yards, 8-7 touchdown to interception ratio. And let's not forget when he was in the NFL as a backup to Ben Roethlisberger, the times he has time as a starter, he was 3-2, 1,310 yards as we looked at it. But like I said, I think right now, I mean, Landry Jones, I'm sorry, I was reading out the wrong ones here. But, yeah, he had to have his season finished with an MCL injury and stuff, and just didn't look pretty at that point. But, like I said, Landry Jones, who for the Dallas Renegades, Here we go. Here's the correct one. So he had 83 completions off 119 attempts. He threw for 784 yards in 5 games. And he had a 5-7 touchdown to interception ratio. And looking back some of the comments right here. And that's where we stand at with that. But, yeah, I think Landry, like I said, I hope he gets another chance soon or something. I'm not sure, what it's going to translate as far as his return to the NFL, if at all. But Landry Jones, bottom line, who, by the way, definitely, like I said, he was pretty notable, but it was frustrating to say the least, in my opinion. Just like I said, I think he definitely got a bad hand dealt to him. But, this is a guy right now who just turned 30 last April. So he'll be 31 this coming April 4th to start off. And we'll see where that goes from there. So definitely more than likely, if he comes back, will be somewhere as a backup right there. Will it possibly be somewhere in a place like Dallas, like the Cowboys or something like that? Who knows? But anyway, that's going to pretty much do it for this edition of the Mass Steel Podcast. Just want to say thank you for those of you tuning in. Remember, you catch me every Mondays and Wednesdays here at 6:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. You can follow me on Twitter at Prodigy Richie, at OnDeckCSR, at Mass Steel CJR. Instagram, you can follow me at Prodigy Richie, at Mass Steel Nation, at OnDeckCSR. And then you can also look me up on my YouTube channel, Mass Steel Podcast, Mixcloud, Charles the Prodigy Richie, where you catch all the replays of the Mass Steel Podcast. My other show that I do on ChicagolandSportsRadio.com is called On Deck. I cover Chicago and national trending sports topics right there. And definitely got a lot of fun stuff getting into. But I'm not going to lie to you. I definitely got to give the league credit so far with the XFL. I don't think it's really doing all that bad. I think right now, the Houston Roughnecks are probably like the favorite team so far in a lot of people's eyes. And I'm not going to lie to you. I think it would be a good story if they go undefeated in the season. Got to help with the league. But as far as like the Steelers go, listen, nice to see Minka Fitzpatrick. I'd love to hear his motivation going into the offseason, how he's going to be feeling, continue to work with teammates. He definitely feels like he definitely gets a lot more closure and get to know like the defense more intently and just being around the guys a lot more. So that's one of the things he definitely says, as opposed to coming into the team, in the third week of the season. So he's definitely got a lot of excitement to really get to know these guys now and go for the actual regimen, the actual grind from start to finish. And I'll be honest with you, I would definitely like to see Ben Roethlisberger's reaction if he's able to come back and play and recover from this elbow injury. Have a guy like that on defense here, someone that you could have a little pick-me-up here and really have fun with this team. And just like I said, if he can just keep under control, sky is the limit right here. So again, everybody, for Charles Prodigy Richie, and for those of you tuning in, as I always say, don't be trolling, be rolling. Here we go, Steelers. Here we go. I gone.